Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which of course means it is once again time for our weekly viewer special. For those of you who are new to the channel or this series in general, first of all, welcome. Glad to have you here. And second, let me give you a rundown of what we do every Monday here on the channel. We showcase replays from you all, the viewers. It's a great opportunity for us to not only explore decks and strategies that I might not always have time to get to, but we can always come together as well and cheer each other on for our cool games and decks. So if you have a replay that you want to submit for the viewer special, you're going to want to head down to the description below. There you're going to find a link to our invite server, the Hexlexplex. An invite link to our Discord server, rather. Once you are in there under the Master Duel section, you can find a channel called Viewer Special Submissions, where you can drop your 9-digit player ID. That way I can see your publicly saved replays. If there's one replay in particular that you really want me to see, make sure you're leaving your opponent's name, the date and time, or a screenshot, just something where I know that that is the game you want me to watch. But that's pretty much all there is to it. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of your games now. All right, our first game comes to us from Papa Crow, who's got a replay from the Fusion and Xyz event. I believe it's this one we're going to be taking a look at, where we are on quite the pile deck here. It's Millennium, Zodiac, and yet we're also on Super Quant as well. Definitely not seen this combination of archetypes before, and far from the only Super Quantum pile that Papa Crow has replays for. Super Quantum is a really underrated archetype. It's got a really good powerful tools in it, and it's just a really good archetype in its own right too. So again, this is going to be for the Fusion and Xyz Festival. So we are also rocking, as mentioned, the Millennium engine with the Exodia as well as Zodiac here as well. So we're going second for this game, I believe, here as well. So very eager to see how this plays out. And our opponent looks like they are going to be on the loner deck for Fairy Tale, which I played Fairy Tale in the event as well, but I used my own list that also used Magistus cards, because even though there's no Magistus Link monsters, you can still use, like, you know, Rilliona to summon from deck and then fusion summoning. But anyway, so yeah, we're going second here. So not only do we get to see this cool pile deck in action, but we'll see how it plays through our opponent's board. We're finding the Ash Blossom as a hand trap here. I've got Droplet as well. And on top of that, we have a piece of each of our engines here too. They're going to begin with Fairy Tale Roachka, grabbing the Summoner Monk. They're now using Super Duper Polymerization, summoning out Granganol and then fusing it with the Fairy Tale monster here in order to summon Weaver of Fairy Tales. So let them go full combo by summoning out from deck, or at least it would if we didn't have the Ash Blossom here. So that's going to stop them from pulling Match Gear out of the deck, which is of course really good for us. So they do have follow-up though. Once Upon a Fairy Tale, reviving the Fairy Tale Roachka, and now they can overlay the two of them into the Wiccat. Now Wiccat can dump the Match Gear as well as Tails here, I imagine is what's going to happen. Yep. Match Gear effect can activate special summoning, and then it can add Fairy Tale Ball from deck to hand. Next up, they're going to activate Fairy Tale Ball in order to add Luna, after which point they are going to, I imagine, equip the spell to one of their monsters, external summon the Luna, and then add Snow. Now they're able to fusion summon the Teller using probably Wiccat, I would guess, and the Snow in hand. No, they're using Summoner Monk with the Snow in hand in order to summon out the Teller. All right, set one and pass. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, again, about the, you know, deck without any other support. You just have to add on a bunch of Fairy Tale monsters. Okay, so we're going to begin with the Heart of Blue Eyes from Millennium Ankh, but we're not going to activate the Ankh just yet, because that'll lock us out of any other special summons for the rest of the turn. So they're going to use Fairy Tale Snow, banishing the extra Summoner Monk from hand, as well as most of their, if not all of their graveyard there. Yeah, all of their graveyard. And they're going to use that to turn our Rat Pierre face down. That way we cannot use it as Xyz material. Here we're going to fire off with the Emergency Teleport, summoning out Super Quantum Blue Layer, which can then add any Super Quant card. It'll be the Fairy Zayton, which we can then activate special summoning, and then we'll use this effect to tribute and special summon the Fairy Alphan, I believe it's called, which will then get to activate, revealing 3 Super Quant cards and summoning out the White Layer, milling the Black Layer and Red Layer. Both of their effects now get to activate. Red Layers gets to special summon a Super Quant monster from the graveyard, And Black Layer's Graveyard effect looks like it's going to search for the Layer 19. Now the Quantal Alphen Spike is going to activate, placing the field spell, which can then activate discarding in order to Exceed Summon using the blue layer as material. It's going to make the Mecha Beast Grand Pulse, which has the ability to pop back rows, if I remember right. Yep. So we're going to target one of their face down cards. It ends up being Imperm. They're going to chain that on the Grand Pulse, which is totally fine, because it's in defense mode, and we were just going to destroy that card anyway. All right, blue layer's effect gets to activate. They're going to shuffle back some of our cards. They're going to use Luna to bounce the Grand Pulse. We're chaining Droplet to send away that Grand Pulse as well as the face-down Ratpierre. And now we can negate the Teller as well as the Luna here. We still have the face-down card to be concerned with, but it's the last line of interaction our opponent's going to have left at this point. Now we can go for the rank 7 and activate layer 19 in order to summon out the black layer, which can then activate, letting us Exceed Summon using it as a material. And here is the Magna Liger. It's going to attach red layer from the graveyard. Fairy Tale Ball is going to negate our rank 7 here, but we're going to chain the Magna Liger. And that actually destroys it. So now the white layer effect gets to activate, adding another white Fairy Alphen, or Super Quantal Fairy Alphen. And now the field spell is going to activate, and we can summon out our big boss monster, the Great Magnus, using the Liger and the other Xyz monsters from the graveyard. And now that we're done doing all of our Super Quantum plays, we're going to throw out the Millennium Ankh here. And that will summon out the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Now moving to battle phase, we can battle with the Great Magnus, and Exodia can buff up to 8,500, getting an easy lethal swing in there. Two exceptionally powerful boss monsters that I would have never expected to see on the field at the same time, and yet, Papa Crow, you made it look so easy. Thank you so very much for that awesome submission. Let's go and take a look at the next one. All right, this next replay comes to us from Ban Max C. Ooh, very hot take. With Arthur Dane being their name in the Discord server. Not that I disagree with their username whatsoever, but here we're going to be taking a look at a pretty interesting branded variant. 60 cards, and what's interesting about it is some of the engines that we're running here, namely Duality, which is a quick play spell card, letting us access light or dark monsters from the extra deck by trimming a light or dark monster with the same type and level, but a different original attribute. And looks like we're also on Metamorphosis as well as Radiant Typhoon Vision as well. A lot of cool tech cards happening here. A lot of different ways that you can play branded. So eager to see some of this in action. And it looks like our opponent here is going to be on Canine. Canine Vanquish Soul, utilizing the RB Vulcan Rocket as a level 5 fire monster that can special summon itself in order to make use of some of those attributes there. So it looks like we won the coin flip and we're choosing to go second, which is quite interesting. So again, very, very eager to see how this one ends up playing out here. All right, so we do have the Metamorphosis in our opening hand, as well as Branded Fusion, Super Poly Aliber, and Branded Opening. Definitely a lot of gas in this hand. They're going to lead with the Holly Sue revealing Mad Love, normal summon Mad Love, going to add the Vanquish Soul start. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen Canine Vanquish Soul. Like, it's definitely still a respectable, I'd call it like tier 2 deck, and yet it's really just not that popular on Master Duel right now, which makes sense if you think about it, right? Just because of the fact that you have to have all of these specific attributes in your hand to be able to combo off. Really, the deck doesn't have very many, if at all, any true 1-card combos. It's all going to be at least like a 2-card combo, but here our opponent is doing quite well for themselves, summoning out the Borger, getting a free draw by revealing the Mad Love they bounce. Now Raisin's going to get linked into Rock of the Vanquisher. Rock is going to get to activate here. They're going to add the Raisin back to their hand, so they've got dark and fire attributes in their hand again. We already saw they had the Jokul, and now they have the Izuna here as well. Izuna is going to dump the Lupus. Now Jokul can activate in order to add the Lantern, and they have full reign to go into their rank 5 engine now. It's going to be Canine 17 Ripper being the first rank 5 to come down. That'll detach and then let them add another copy of Izuna from deck to hand. Now Lantern's going to activate, bringing back the Izuna from the graveyard, and here comes another rank 5. But first they're going to use Lantern in order to add a Case for Canine from deck to hand. This is also going to get activated. It's going to add another Jokel for follow-up. Alright, now here's the next rank 5. This one's probably going to be the Nosh Knight, if I had to guess. Yep. Looks like it is, in fact, the Nosh Knight. They're going to set up the Umbral Horror Masquerade here, which, of course, will allow them to pop their own Case for Canine if they so choose to. Although, usually you would pop the... Oh, no, yeah, you do pop Case for Canine, because that's what sets the Quick Play spell. That's how long it's been since I've played with or against this deck, but... The Umbral Horror Masquerade also threatens to negate a monster effect, discard a card, and have our life points during our turn here as well. Oh, and they actually did end on multiple Vanquish Soul monsters, right, meaning they can set the Snow Devil, discarding Dimension Shifter as they don't have room for it. Or it's not that they don't have room for it. I guess it is that they don't have room for it in the hand, but more that with cards in their graveyard, they can no longer use it. Alright, so we found another branded opening. Not the best card to top deck here at all. We're going to start by normal summoning Alibur. They're going to chain Umbral Horror Masquerade. And fortunately, they did discard one of our branded openings here. We're going to follow up with Branded Fusion, sending away Fallen of the White Dragon, as well as the Tri-Brigade Springan's Kit. It's going to make Albion the Branded Dragon. This kit gets to activate, so does Albion. And Albion's going to let us fuse, while Kit's going to let us revive. I have to imagine the Fallen of the White Dragon here. So we're going to use the Albion to fuse Kit with the Alibur in order to make the Despian Coritis. We can't fuse away the Fallen of the White Dragon because we want to summon it and get the effect. And, of course, if we banish it with Albion, we can't then summon it. Ooh, here's Metamorphosis on the Albion to turn it into the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now we have not only the Omni Negate, or no, we don't actually have the Destroy effect, right? Because isn't it Destroy a card for... Yeah, up to the number of normal monsters used as a material. We didn't use any normal monsters as material, so we can't use that effect. We do still get the Omni Negate effect here. We're going to activate Coritis to attack drop all of the monsters down to 0 attack points. They're going to try to use the Caesar Valius here. But we're going to chain Super Polymerization. Discarding the branded opening, now we can fuse away our Albaz with their 2 extra deck monsters in order to make the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. A 3,500 attack Towers. Now that Rock of the Vanquisher is no longer on the field, I guess that wouldn't have changed anything because it doesn't matter if we can only attack the strongest monster when they all have 0 attack points, right? Alright, here's Snow Devil. They do, in fact, have 3 attributes. But it turns out none of our cards can be destroyed. That's kind of insane, honestly. Okay, they're revealing the Mad Love to keep their Borger from being destroyed by battle. On main phase 2, they're going to activate Izuna. Izuna is going to dump the Lupus here. Lupus getting to activate in order to revive, and now Lupus is also going to activate in order to Xyz summon. Using only itself as a material, they're going to summon out the Typhone. Very, very interesting way of kind of getting around that restriction on their turn of not being able to summon. During the end phase, we're going to use Fallen of the Virtuous, dumping Titaniclad. Now Ecclesia can add herself back. Titaniclad also gets to activate. We're going to summon out the Fallen of Albaz. So now Fallen of Albaz will get to activate. And we can fuse away with the Sky Crisis in order to make the Mirror Jade. So quite the board we've got going into our opponent's turn here. We've, of course, got the Dragon that Devours the Dogma acting as a Towers. We've got Mirror Jade. We've got Dragoons. We've got Coritis as well. I'm not really sure. I mean, we're only at 700 life points, so I guess our opponent's best bet would be to try to burn. They could burn us with Borger, right? Earth and Fire to inflict, what was that, 1,500? Yeah, 1,500. But they already used the effect to draw a card. It looks like they did. Alright, so we're going to go for the Mirror Jade effect here. They're going to chain Forced Release, and we're going to chain Despian Coritis. So Coritis will drop their attack points to 0. Forced Release is going to overlay Jax into the Werewolf. But then we can just activate the Mirror Jade, right? Yeah, banish the Werewolf, so its effect won't get to activate. And they can pop Mirror Jade, sure, but Mirror Jade gets to activate, as well as Golden Sword Soul and Coritus here as well. So Golden Sword Soul will get to revive a monster from the graveyard. Of course, Mirror Jade's going to wipe their board during the end phase. And we can also summon out the Quem from our deck here as well. Now, of course, Quem will get to activate. They're going to chain Ash Blossom to this, which is honestly totally fine. Because I think just about anything we dump is already in our graveyard anyway, except for maybe like Cartesia? Can Quem dump Cartesia, right? Yeah, or a monster that mentions it. Yeah, so it can. Okay, they're going to use Raisin to try to pop Ecclesia here, but of course we can simply chain the Ecclesia effect in response. We're going to use that to summon out Fallen of the White Dragon from our deck, which does actually get destroyed because we did end up putting it in the same column. So now Jokul and Noroi get to come down. Jokul's going to activate, adding a third Izuna from deck to hand. And they're going to link everything off into the Sariua Skulldread. I imagine is what this is, yep. Now Skulldread gets to activate. We're going to chain the Quem effect, and now we can revive our Mirror Jade. So really, at the end of the day, what our opponent has to do is be able to battle over our monsters enough to inflict 700 damage. They have to do it this turn, because the Mirror Jade's going to wipe their board during the end phase, right? Now, the Dragoons can't be targeted or destroyed. The Dragon that devours a Dogmug is unaffected. I guess maybe their best bet... I don't know what their best bet is at this point. They're spinning their wheels here. They're trying to do something, but turning the Mirror Jade face down is not going to be enough here, unfortunately for them. All right, they're going to chain Holly Sue to us using the Mirror Jade effect. Holly Sue in order to summon from the deck. Again, I think their best bet would be to try to battle over to do enough damage. Like in this case, they would need a monster with at least 3,700 attack points. But I don't really think Canine Vanquish Soul has a clean way of getting to that. Again, they're really trying here, but nothing they're doing is really accomplishing that goal. They're going to go for the Little Knight here. Little Knight's going to try to banish Quem. It's also going to use the Vown effect to destroy the now face-down Mirror Jade, but still does not really solve their problem here. Yeah, sure enough, they weren't able to find an out. Now we're going to get our end phase effects, but it really doesn't matter how much advantage we're about to gain during the end phase here because, you know, we're still able to just battle and then swing in for a game right away. And our opponent realizing this is going to concede. So, well, or I guess time limit win. Yeah, that Metamorphosis, that was really good to summon out the Dragoons there. Very interesting engines that we've got going on here, and a great going second win. Thank you very much for that. What was the Discord name again? Arthur Dane. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's go and take a look at our last replay here to finish the video off. All right, our last replay comes to us from Marichenka, aka 8bots, over on the Discord server, and we're going to be taking a look at a combination of not just Fairy Tale, but also Dracotail as well. I haven't tried this out yet myself, but this is a pretty nice solution to Fairy Tale having a bit of a lack of starters right now. The idea, of course, that we're adding the Dracotail Femina and a smaller package of Lucius, Rahu, and Ketu as well in order to give that extra oomph to our Fairy Tale deck with more fusion plays. And our opponent, speaking of fusion decks, is going to be on Branded. Looks like they're playing quite a few interesting decks here. A lot of going second stuff like Illusion Gate and Dark Ruler No More. And Ra's Disciple, I would assume to be used with the Sanctifier. So let's see how this one pans out. Looks like we are going to be going first here. So we'll get to see what these engines can do. And yeah, look at that. We got Femina and a Metamorphosis here. We're going to begin with normal summon Match Giru. It's going to add a Fairy Tale Ball from deck to hand. Next, we can activate the ball, and we're going to add Luna as well. All right, here is the Metamorphosis on the Match Giru. It's going to summon out Weaver. Next, Weaver gets to activate. We're going to special summon yet another Luna from our deck. Match Giru can revive. We're going to overlay Weaver and Giru. And that's going to make Wickhat. Now Wickhat gets to activate. Gonna dump the two spells, yep. Tails and What's Upon a Fairy Tale. The latter gets to reset itself, and the former can equip and then extra normal summon Luna, who can add yet another Match Giru from deck to hand. Now we're gonna use Tails to fuse the Match Giru and Snow from our hand in order to make the Teller of Fairy Tales. Next up, we are going to make the Magistus Chorozo and then overlay Luna and Chorozo in order to make Rilliona, the Wondrous Magistus Wardrobe. All right, here's Crowley off the Rilliona. Crowley is going to activate fusing with Rilliona. And now we can make the Zorora. Zorora is going to activate, equipping the Rilliona from the graveyard. We'll set the Super Poly and pass over to the opponent. So Metamorphosis obviously allowed us to pop off there, but it's going to be the 5-mana and Super Poly that'll give us a lot more disruption during the opponent's turn. Looks like they're going to begin with the white Albaz here after doing a bit of deck thinning. We're going to use the Fairy Tale Ball on it. I really like using Ball here because it not only negates the Fallen of the White Dragon effect, but also changes the name to Prince of Fairies, meaning they can't really use it as a fusion material, or at least they can't use it as a material that'll count as Fallen of Albaz. Now here they're going to go for Summon Quem. We're going to use the Zorora effect, and they're going to chain Saronir. Saronir is going to banish Snow and summon itself, and we're going to negate and destroy the Quem. Next up, they're going to use Spriggan's Kit in order to special summon, adding Branded in White from deck to hand and then putting a card back. Now here's Branded in White. However, we are going to chain Teller, banishing Luna in order to negate. They're going to chain Droplet in response. However, I don't believe that will actually stop the Branded in White from being negated. I guess they do get to just negate the Teller here, so Branded in White will just resolve. Alright, they're fusing Fallen of the White Dragon with Bestial Saronir, making Chaos Star Source Dragon, because remember, that Fallen of the White Dragon is Prince of Fairies, not Fallen of Albaz. Alright, they're going to use Star Source to try to pop our face down cards. We're chaining Once Upon a Fairy Tale here. And that's going to revive the Snow from the Banish as well as Luna from the graveyard. So them banishing Snow actually kind of helped us out here. We're going to give up on Super Poly in order to use the Snow to turn the Chaos Star Source face down. And then Witcat can also send away the Snow in order to revive, letting us use her later again as well. Alright, Branded Retribution is going to activate. They're going to add Branded Fusion from the graveyard to hand. And they are going to get to activate here. They're going to dump Fallen of the White Dragon with Tri-Brigade Spriggan's Kit in order to summon out Albion the Branded Dragon. Albion's going to activate, and they also get to use the effect of Tri-Brigade Spriggan's Kit here as well. Kit is going to revive Quem, and then Albion's going to fuse the face-down Chaos Star Source with Fallen of the White from the graveyard in order to make the Mirror Jade. Alright, Quem gets to activate, reviving Kit. They're going to move to battle phase, battling into the Teller, the Witcat, and Luna, but we're going to chain Luna in order to bounce the Mirror Jade. They're going to chain Mirror Jade effect in order to send Titaniclad and then banish a card. Looks like it's going to be the Zorora here. And then we're going to use Fairy Tale Snow, banishing from the graveyard in order to revive. And we're going to turn the Quem face down. No need to turn Kit face down because our Snow is already stronger than the Kit. We get to reset Once Upon a Fairy Tale. They are going to choose to crash the Kit. And then main phase 2, we're going to activate 5 mana. It's going to let us fuse the Snow and Luna. And now we can go into Teller of Fairy Tales once again. Alright, end phase, they're going to use Dragon that Devours the Dogma in order to add the Fallen and the Virtuous. Titaniclad's going to activate. They're going to chain the Fallen and the Virtuous, trying to pop the Fairy Tale Ball. And then Titaniclad's going to summon Dogmatica Ecclesia. She's going to activate, adding another copy of Fallen and the Virtuous. And then Albion is going to set a copy of Branded Retribution from the opponent's deck. Alright, going into our next turn here, we're going to draw and find the Ash Blossom. From the graveyard, we're going to activate the Match Giru effect. Match Giru gets to activate in order to add a Fairy Tale Ball. Next up, we're going to activate Ball. It's going to let us add the Luna from the Banish pile. Luna's going to activate Normal Summon, and then they're going to concede. I imagine the reason they conceded is because they knew that we could simply attack directly with our Fairy Tale monsters. With the ball in play, it doesn't matter how much of a board they set up. We can push through it with ease. One of the greatest strengths of Fairy Tale when it comes to closing out games. Very excellent duel. Thank you very much to 8bots as well as everybody else who submitted for the viewer special this week. Even if you didn't get featured, we could not do this channel or this series on the channel without your submissions, and it's one of my favorite series that we do on the channel. So thank you so very much for your support. And I mean, really, in the greater scope of things, we couldn't do the channel if you all didn't support by watching as well. So thank you everyone who not only submitted, but is also watching all the way to the end. Super appreciate that. That's gonna do it for now though. So let's move on to the outro and thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers as well. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.